Hello everyone, and welcome to the Zero to Mastery ML GitHub repo. Now, if you're looking at this in the video that you're watching, and you do visit this URL here, github.com/mrdburke/Zero to Mastery ML, you might notice that this repo has changed. And that's because this course is continually being built and continually being developed. And so as things get added and changed, the folder structure here, the readmes may change, but the work process we're about to follow won't. And now the particular work process we're following is throughout the course, you may notice that we use Jupyter Notebooks a whole bunch because Jupyter Notebooks are the workspace for a data scientist or machine learning engineer. And so if you wanted to download everything in this GitHub repo, you could follow the clone or download little section here. But maybe you want to work on one particular notebook. You don't want everything. So you just want to access one notebook. Maybe it's part of the exercises or the assignment. Let me show you how you could do that. Let's say we want to do the pandas exercises notebook. We want to work on that. So we'll click on this one, pandas exercises. We got this URL here. If we wanted to download this one particular folder or this one particular file, we can go click on this raw button. And then what we're going to do is it's going to bring up all this text, but that really doesn't make sense to us. So we'll find a way to make it make sense. We'll go File, Save Page As. And I've got a folder on my desktop called ML Course. And I'm going to save this into my ML Course folder where I'm working on all of the course materials. You may have some sort of folder like this. And I'm going to save it into the sample project folder. Just going to keep it with that file name. So save, beautiful, that's going to download. Then I'm going to open up a terminal. Let's see how we'd access that one particular Jupyter notebook. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change directory to my desktop and then to my ML course folder, and then again to the sample project folder where I just downloaded. If I press ls, I should have pandas exercises.ipynb.txt, which is this text file here. So how would I access this to work on it? Well, what I'm going to have to do is activate my Anaconda environment. So if I go conda activate, and if you're not sure what this means, don't worry, we'll cover this as well. I'm just showing you how you access one particular notebook. So in a summary, a conda environment is a collection of tools to work on data science and machine learning projects. So users, mine is stored here, Daniel desktop ML course sample project /env. So it's this little file here. This is what I'm trying to activate. Now if I hit enter there, you'll notice it changes from base to this file path here. Beautiful. And since I have my environment activated, I'm able to access the Jupyter Notebook tool. So if I hit that, this is going to load up the Jupyter Notebook server running on my computer. And you might notice we've got pandas exercises. This is that file we downloaded just before here. Pandas exercises.ipy notebook. And NB is for notebook. And we've got some other ones here that they've got a little different symbol. Right, so this IPyNB stands for IPython Notebook or Jupyter Notebook. Now, how would we convert that into one of these? Let's see. We just open this up. An easy way to do it is just by removing the .text extension and clicking OK. And then hitting Command S, or actually we don't even need to do that. It's going to update itself automatically. We come back to here. Beautiful. You notice that pandas exercises IPyNB has now changed to this little book symbol. So if we close this and reopen this notebook, what we can see is we've got an individual notebook downloaded from GitHub and running on our computer. Now, if we check to see if this works, import pandas as PD, shift and enter. Wonderful. So that cell is run without error. So we might delete that because we don't need that. Now, you might be thinking, if you've just gone through this, you might be thinking, wow, Daniel, that's a whole bunch of steps. But don't worry, as you work through the course, you will get more and more familiar with that kind of workflow that we just went through. However, if you'd like to get started far quicker, there is another way. So we're going to come back to here. And one way you can do that is by going into whichever notebook you want to open. And we're going to copy the URL. So in this case, it's just the exact same one as before, pandas exercises.ipynb. And we're going to go to a little tool called Colab. And now this is made by Google. And so the folks at Google had this problem like we're having now, and Jupyter Notebooks, as amazing as they are, can be a little bit hard to get started, get running. And so Google, what they've done is they've created a tool called Colab, which is essentially Jupyter Notebooks in Google Drive. So you will need a Google account to do this little workflow. But what you can do is go to this website here. And what we can see, we've got my Google Drive there, but we've also got GitHub. So I can copy this URL of this Pandas Practice Jupyter Notebook, come back to Colab, go to the GitHub tab, and enter the URL there. And if everything's working correctly, Colab should automatically take all of this information from the Jupyter Notebook on GitHub. Ah, there we go. I should have pressed enter when I hit that in there. So if we come in here, this is the one we want. So there's a little tidbit for you. Make sure you press enter when you copy the link. And there we go. So now we've got our Jupyter Notebook from here in a Google Colab Jupyter Notebook. And these run basically the exact same. They look a little different to a traditional Jupyter Notebook, but this is because they've got Google style. So if we go import, we run that exact same code, import pandas as PD. Warning, this notebook was not authored by Google. This notebook has been loaded from GitHub. You may request to access your data stored within Google or read data and credentials. Please review the source code before executing this notebook. So that's something you might have to, if there are any warnings like that, make sure you read through them. But otherwise, you can notice that this notebook is working perfectly after just copying the URL from GitHub and typing it into colab.research.google.com. And if you want to open something, GitHub, copy the URL, hit enter, and then click on the notebook you'd like to open. In this case, we'll just open the exact same one. And there we go. We can get started running coding nice and easily. So that's just a little tidbit. Remember, if you do refer back to the Zero to Mastery ML GitHub and it looks a little different to what you've seen in this video, don't worry too much. It's just because as we go, we're updating and continually adding new and updated content.